Hello, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Seasonal Fire Potential Outlook for September through November of 2017. As we go through this outlook, we'll take a look at recent weather trends, the current and forecast drought conditions, current fuels, and best for last, expected weather and fire danger for September through December. Recent weather trends are shown here with the temperature on the left showing above normal temperatures across much of western and central Nevada and up into western Idaho during August. Precipitation trends show a very dry signal across Idaho and even into northern Utah, with much below average precipitation observed during the month. There were a few spots that were wet, particularly over far southern Nevada and up into portions of western Nevada as well. Precipitation information is shown here for the fall-winter precipitation, mainly showing those very wet areas across northern Nevada and up into southern Idaho and western Wyoming, really kind of pinpointing the areas that we've seen much above normal grass growth this spring and into the summer, which is definitely contributing to our large fire spread in those areas. Drought conditions are shown on the left with abnormally dry conditions across much of the central Idaho mountains, even into western Wyoming, and also an area of abnormally dry to moderate drought over the central Utah mountains and into eastern Utah as well. These drought conditions are expected to persist or even worsen going into the fall and winter months. How about our fuels? 10-hour fuels are still quite dry across much of Utah, northern Nevada, and western Idaho. It's a little bit of an abnormal trend for Utah. Normally we do see things dry out a bit in August, but they're fairly dry compared to normal right now. 100 hours are also pretty low across central and western Utah and up into northern Nevada. 1,000 hours are fairly low region-wide as well. One area we've chosen to show here is over the Boise National Forest, the Lowman North Zone, showing those observed 1,000-hour fuel moistures below normal for the time of year, coming in about 7 or 8%. Sagebrush live fuel moistures are shown here for stations in southern Idaho, western Utah, and northern Nevada. All these trends are showing basically the same thing, with sagebrush live fuel moistures near normal for the time of year, except maybe over western Utah where they're slightly below normal. In any case, they're all very dry and available to contribute to the fire load on the landscape right now. Current ERCs are shown here with pretty dry conditions across much of the northern and eastern portions of the Great Basin. Many of these areas are above normal for the time of year, particularly Idaho and northern and central Utah. Above the 80th to 90th percentile in some of these areas due to the extreme heat and dry conditions we've seen over the last 7 to 10 days. And that's definitely evident in our recent fire activity. Fuels and Fire Behavior Advisory that was issued in August is still valid now, which highlights the areas where we've seen that extreme growth of our annual grass crop over northern and central Nevada into western Utah and southern Idaho. How about El Nino or La Nina? What are the current conditions and expected conditions going into the winter? This image shows forecast models as they're forecasting sea surface temperature, and doesn't look like the models are really trending in any particular direction, either for a strong El Nino or a strong La Nina. They're, if anything, maybe a little bit on the warm side, indicating a very weak El Nino, but probably be safer to say we're going into an ENSO neutral cycle. All right, let's take a look at the weather trends. This is the main story here, really looking at very hot and dry conditions moving into the first part of September. Through at least September 9th here, we're looking at extreme heat across the western U.S., record to near record temperatures, and dry conditions across the north. There is Tropical Storm Lydia that could be bringing some moisture into Southern California and the southern tip of the Great Basin, maybe starting next week or so. The 8 to 14 day outlook looks pretty much the same with continued heat in the western U.S., and we still see that little bit of a wet signal across the far southern tip of the Great Basin. This could potentially lead to dry thunderstorms and more new initial attack. I think probably by the third week of September, it looks like maybe this moisture deepens just a bit, and we could see some more significant relief coming to southern portions of the Great Basin from some of that moisture. But still, hot temperatures are expected through the month of September. The extended outlooks from our local predictive services folks are calling for continued warm temperatures through the fall months, but maybe as we move into October, we could see a better chance for some above normal precipitation coming into the Great Basin. We'll see a better chance for maybe some fall-like storms moving in and bringing us some more significant relief in terms of fire danger. All right, putting it all together, here is the official outlook for the Great Basin for September through December. September we're looking for above normal large fire potential for much of western and northern Nevada and much of western Idaho. Northern and western Utah could also see above normal fire potential, particularly moving into the first part of the month when it will be very warm and dry. October through December, large fire potential will decrease back to near normal, which for most areas means little to no fire activity. Again, here's the month of September. Again, looking maybe that there could be some above normal fire potential into portions of northern and central Utah during this time frame as well. October through December, normal for much of the area. The one caveat to this would be potentially over western and northern Nevada, where due to the very large grass crop, anytime there's an extended period of warm, dry weather, followed up by some winds, we certainly could see some fires pick up there. So it's definitely something to keep on the radar as we go into the fall months. National outlook maps are shown here. Going into September, many of our surrounding geographic areas are still forecasting above normal potential, particularly of the northern Rockies into Oregon and portions of California. By October, some of that decreases, although over the northern Rockies, some large fire potential could remain high going into at least the first part of October. And by November and December, most areas will return to normal as fall and winter kick in, but some above normal potential will continue over far southern California and possibly over Texas and Oklahoma. This concludes the fire potential briefing for the next 4 months. Please call us if you have any questions, and certainly if you're looking at doing any prescribed burning and are curious about long-term burn windows. This product will be issued once again at the 1st of October. Thank you.